Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I wanted to show you how to make a perpetual calendar. And if you don't know what a perpetual calendar means, is that it's a calendar that you can use any year. So it basically has the month, it has the day, and then it has two that have the numbers. So I'll go ahead and put an example up here, and this was my inspiration from Pinterest. So I wanted to make one this year for my mother-in-law as a gift, and using pictures that we took throughout this past year, and so she can use it for the new year coming. And so I have pictures, a family picture, and then I have pictures of my daughter's wedding, and then I have pictures of our cat and our two puppies. Yeah, and so the things that you will need a thick chipboard. I have this one. I don't know what the thickness of it is, but it's pretty stiff. So the stiffer the better, because this is your base. And it is 8 inches by 12. So I had a 12 by 12 piece, and I just cut it down to 8 inches by 12. And then I have 2 pieces of printed scrapbook paper, or you could use colored cardstock, but these are the pieces that you're going to cover your base with. So I have this piece here and this piece, and I cut them to 8 by 12 as well. And then you will need 33 strips of patterned paper or cardstock, or a combination of both. So what I'm doing is I cut 33 pieces of my red and this pearl beigey color, and combined they make 33 pieces, and I made these 2 by 5, so 2 inches by 5 inches. And then I wanted to mount my patterned cardstock or my pattern paper on top of these, because this pattern paper is pretty thin. It's kind of like the paper that you would get at Michael's or Joann's in their one-off sheets. So it's not cardstock at all. It's like a 24-pound paper. So it needs a thickness, at least I think it does. So that's what I did. I had originally cut these to 2 by 5, and then after I decided I wanted the background, the mount board here, I cut these down. I cut like 1/8 of an inch off of each side, so that, well, just on the one long side and one short side. So they would be slightly smaller and leave just a little bit of a border. So it looks like that. So I cut 33, and I had 6 different pattern papers that coordinate. So I essentially cut 5 of each, and it's an overkill, but I'll have choices. And then the last thing I cut down are my photos, and they are going to be approximately 1.875 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall, or it can go a little bit taller. They just have to fit on your sheets here. So even this one's a little bit, well, actually, it depends on how much of a border you want behind your pictures. But so they will go like that. So what you want to do is choose photos that you can actually print down to that size that would make sense. So photos that don't have a lot of people in them, because they're going to be really tiny. So that's what I'm saying. So these are actually smaller than a wallet size. So anyway, I think I have, you need 14. I think I have maybe 15 or 16. I just wasn't sure which ones I wanted to use, so I just printed the ones that I thought I wanted to use. And you can either print them on your colored printer, but what I did was I sized them, or actually I had my husband size them in Photoshop, and then he put them on a 4x6 canvas within Photoshop, and then I printed them at Walmart, the 1-hour photos. So each one had 3 photos on it. So it wasn't expensive at all. It cost me like 75 cents to print out these pictures there, because my printer doesn't print photos very well. It does a good job of basic printing, but not photos. So if you have a photo printer, that's great. Okay, so the last few items that you will need are your cutouts of your months, your days, and the numbers. So I will link down below my project in Cricut Design Space if you'd like to use the fonts that I used, or need an example, and they're all in one file. What I did was I cut a red and I cut my pearl beige color here because I wasn't sure which color on each page I wanted to use, or each little flap. So I did both. I cut the set in each color. So yeah, that's great. Okay, so what we need to do is clear these off, and we'll go ahead and get started, and step by step I'll show you how to make this perpetual calendar. So we're going to start by taking our chipboard and lining it up at 5 1/4, and you're going to score. So this is a thick chipboard, so I need to make a slight, like one pass with my trimmer, and I'm using the blade in it, but you're just doing one light pass, and that should be enough to be able to fold and have it stay. You're not going to cut it all the way through the chipboard. You're just going to do one light pass, and then if that doesn't go, if you need to go another light pass, then you can try it. It just depends on how thick your chipboard is. So I'm just going to do one light pass through. Start at the top here. I'm not trying to press hard at all. And then let's see if that will, yeah, that'll make a fold. Like that. And then you're going to turn it around, and you're going to go 5 1/4 from the other end. I didn't get quite here, so I brought it back down. All right, so now we're folding those. And this leaves, let's see, about 1.5 inches on the bottom, but that's your base. That's what your calendar is going to stand up on. So you just need to fold it so it's nice. So they're like that. Okay, so you have that. Then you're going to take, now for your inside piece, you're going to cut it down on the placing your horizontal side up at the top here, and then you're going to line your left hand number at 10 1/2 and trim off this piece here, and that's going to be the inside bottom of your little stand. And you may need to trim just slightly smaller so that it fits a little bit better in there, which I may do. I'll just take a little sliver off of that. Just ever so slightly. There, just a tiny bit. And then this will be cut in half. So you're going to cut it at 5 1/4. So that gives you 2 5 1/4 by 8 size papers. And those will be mounted on the inside of your stand as well. So since this is the same, it's 5 1/4 by 8 on each side, you'll need to just trim it a tiny bit less so that you don't have any overhang, and it, you know, it's easier to. So I'm just gonna trim just a little bit off 2 sides, just so it's just slightly smaller than the actual side of the chipboard. Those chipboards there, just a tiny bit. Not even an 1/8, it's just a sliver basically. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cover the inside of our base with what we just cut. So we'll just put some tacky glue, or you can use double-sided tape, whatever you want. A glue stick. It just depends on what you're used to using. All right. I'm just doing a light coating with my tacky glue. And then just stick it down. There we go. I go ahead and put this down here for my centerpiece. I'm not even really squeezing the bottle at all, just ever so slightly, because I don't want it to be very bunchy down there, or like really thick pieces, because I don't want you to be able to see the texture of the glue underneath the paper. There we go. Just make sure it closes good there. And then we'll do this one. You can put it on the paper or on your board. All right, I was just smoothing out the really thick mountains of glue there. There we go. Got a piece up here that I just want to trim off there. Just didn't cut very well when I used my, there. Okay, so we have that done. You're going to take your piece that you would like to use on the outside of your base, and we're going to take and cut 2 pieces at 5 1/4. With your paper horizontally, and then you'll have the third piece. This will go on the very bottom of the base. You don't have to put this on the bottom, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it so it'll be finished Let's move that over. So now we're just going to take our pieces and glue them down. Just make sure you have glue along all the edges. You can use double-sided tape again, or whatever you're comfortable using. And go ahead and do all 3 of your pieces. Now, let's make sure, you want to make sure that your centerpiece fits just inside where you've scored it, just so it'll fold right and it doesn't pull. So I think if you have to trim a little piece off like we did, if you have to trim a little piece off, you can, like a little sliver off 2 of the sides. Make sure that it's all stuck down there. And then do the last one. Those are just some really thick areas, so just kind of smoothing those out so they don't, so I can't feel them through, or it doesn't show through the paper. All right. Alright, so that is your base. And it's ready to be punched with the holes, but we're going to go ahead and put together everything else before we move on to that point. So now what we want to do is put together all our little flaps. I'll grab them here. Oops. And I'm going to speed through this because there's 33 of them. All right. And I haven't decided like what order I'm going to be putting all my different patterned pieces in the layout, but I'll go ahead and, for some reason there's some glue or something there. I'll go ahead and just start putting my pieces down. I'm going to alternate the red with the cream when I can, and then the cream on the red, just so there's a difference there. But I'll just put it on fast forward here and just quickly go through and glue all these pieces down.
was looking into darkness for something to hold on. Found you when you were so broken, and I felt something was wrong. I think I'm in love, 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 I'm in love with you.
Now, moving on, before I glue anything else onto my pieces, I wanted to punch my holes. Now, there are a couple different ways that you could do this. My way, I'm using a Zutter Bind It All. This is what it looks like. And I'll have a link down below for it if you want to check it out. But I went ahead and punched my holes on the front and the back when it's folded up. I had to do that separately, so I put one in and punched, and then did the other side. And then I'll go ahead and punch all of my little pieces at the top, just at one end, so that it will be able to be bound together with the wire thing. But you could also do it with a heavy duty hole punch, like a crocodile, which I have as well. Let me show you that. So this is a crocodile, and you can basically punch through a really thick chipboard with it. This would take a little bit more precision, as far as you would have to measure where you want your holes, but you wouldn't have to put as many on there. You could do like 2 holes per piece. And then you could use binder rings at the top, the smaller, maybe 1/2 or 1/4 or 3/4 inch, depending on how many papers you're going to be flipping. So I would say like probably a 1/2 inch or 3/4. So yeah, you could do it that way. It just depends on what you have in your arsenal of tools. So yeah, alrighty. And then, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start punching these, and then come back and we'll move on to the next step. Now what we need to do is start adding our numbers and our letters for the months, the days, and then the days of the week, and then the numbers for the day's actual date. So what I'm going to do is, any of my red papers will get the beige cardstock letters that I cut out, and then any of the ones that have the beige background will get the red. So I'm just going to start doing that. I won't complete everything on film, of course, but just let's get started on that part of the process. With all of my letters put down, my months, days, and numbers, then I'm going to just go ahead and start gluing down my pictures. And those are just going down at the top here, like this. And so I'll just start going through. I think I'm going to use the tacky glue for, just wanted you to know that I used this pen that I had from Close to My Heart. It's a dual action glue pen. I've had this for a while, for a few years, and it's still good. And it worked really well with the letters because the tacky glue was getting really messy and I couldn't really control, you know, the amount very well. And I was just getting glue all over my hands because they're just so tiny. So that's what I used for that, and it stuck down really good. Another glue that you could use is like the art glitter glue, because it has a little tiny tip and it seems to dry really quickly. So yeah, so whatever. I'll try and see if I can find this. I'm not sure if it's sold anywhere other than a Close to My Heart dealer. I haven't been to a Close to My Heart party or anything for years, but I just happened to have that. I never opened it, and I decided to try it, and it worked pretty good. So for my pictures though, I am just going to keep using the tacky glue. Because I want it to stick really well. I'm sure that glue would work too, but this is just quicker for me, and I can do it without getting super messy. So it's gonna go through. I kind of stacked my pictures in the order that I wanted them to be, and yeah. All right. So let's just go ahead. I'll go ahead and work some more on this, and I'll be back, and we're going to complete this by binding it together, and it'll be a nice little calendar. All right, I have my base and I have all my pieces in the right order. This is the first time I've used this Zutter Bind It All. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by putting this wire and putting all of these pieces through here. Except I need to get both sides. And I'll need to cut that off there. Oops. All right, I'm going to take this over to my machine and I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and then I'll come back and show you the completed calendar. All right, guys, so here's how it turned out. I really love it. I got it all bound up at the top there, and yeah, I think it turned out really cool. My mother-in-law is going to love it. So hopefully this gives you some inspiration. If it did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe. Happy New Year, and I'll see you again next year. God bless. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye.